Imagine this. A prince who once stood proud in uniform, medals shining, head held high, the respect of soldiers earned through sweat and service. And then, fast forward to today, he steps onto the same soil he once defended, expecting maybe a handshake, a nod, at least the smallest flicker of recognition. But instead, nothing. No salute, no glance, not even the faintest acknowledgement from the men and women who once called him their brother in arms. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an oversight. This was deliberate. A cold, calculated silence. And when that silence hit social media, when the video exploded across TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, it sent shockwaves through the entire world. Suddenly, the royal drama wasn't about family arguments or palace gossip anymore. It was about respect. Or, more specifically, the very public withdrawal of it. Stick around, because this is one of those moments you'll want to see through to the end. The deeper you look, the harsher it gets. And by the time we're finished, you'll realise just how devastating this quiet rejection really was for Prince Harry. Now, let's rewind for context. Prince Harry wasn't just any royal with fancy uniforms for photo ops. He actually served. 2 tours in Afghanistan. He was in the dust, in the heat, in the danger. He earned his stripes. Soldiers respected him because he lived what they lived. He was cheered at parades, honoured at ceremonies, saluted because he belonged. That bond between him and the military felt unshakable. But that bond broke. Not overnight, not in one scandal, but slowly. With every headline, every Netflix contract, every Oprah soundbite, the connection thinned. And when he returned to Britain this time, the truth was impossible to ignore. The soldiers didn't see their captain anymore. They saw someone who walked away. And by protocol, by command, by order, he was invisible. You see, saluting isn't just tradition. It's symbolic. It's saying, "You're one of us." But when Harry walked past those rows of soldiers standing like statues, the absence of a salute screamed louder than any insult. It wasn't disrespect. It was official recognition that he was no longer part of the fold. And that's why this footage hit so hard. It wasn't a scandal staged for tabloids. It wasn't a dramatic family fight leaked to the press. It was clean, clinical, and brutal. People close to the palace say this blackout wasn't some spontaneous act of defiance from a few guards who didn't like Harry. This was orchestrated. This was protocol. No salute, no fanfare, no acknowledgement. That's the kind of message you don't even have to say out loud, because it's written in every still frame of that viral video. And the message? Actions have consequences. Let's not sugarcoat it. Harry made choices. Stepping back from royal duties wasn't just an extended holiday. It was a seismic break. He didn't just leave, he rebranded. He leaned into celebrity culture, Netflix deals, Spotify podcasts, memoirs, and explosive interviews. For some, he became a voice of courage, daring to criticize the institution. But for others, he crossed the line into betrayal. Now, here's the kicker. This trip was supposed to be different. Low-key, private, a chance to reconnect, maybe even begin mending the cracks with King Charles. No cameras, no press circus, just conversations. But it's hard to fix anything when even the guards at the palace gate act like you don't exist. And make no mistake, that was the most viral moment of the entire visit. Harry walked in hoping for warmth. What he got was ice. And Meghan Markle? Even when she's not there, her presence hangs heavy. People whispered her name at every turn. Her influence is impossible to ignore. To critics, she's the reason Harry drifted away. To supporters, she's the one who gave him the strength to break free. But whichever side you're on, one truth remains. her shadow follows him everywhere. Think about this. Harry used to arrive in motorcades, flags raised in his honour, fanfare echoing through the streets. This time, nothing. He showed up like a visitor. No press release, no ceremony, not even the courtesy traditions given to other royals. Inside, sources confirmed palace staff were instructed to keep everything strictly professional. Translation: treat him like any other high-profile guest. No warmth, no familiarity, no acknowledgement that he was once one of their own. For Harry, who was raised in an environment where respect and recognition were automatic, this must have been jarring. Yes, he smiled for cameras. Yes, he waved politely. But anyone looking closely could see it. The stiff shoulders, the clasped hands, the lack of that old confidence. This wasn't the swaggering soldier or the charming prince. This was a man walking through halls that no longer felt like home. And then came the social media storm. The clip of guards standing frozen as Harry walked by spread like wildfire. Millions of views, TikToks with dramatic soundtracks, YouTube breakdowns analysing every frame. Fans split down the middle. Some defended him, saying the military went too far. But most, they saw it as poetic justice. You turn your back on tradition, tradition turns its back on you. What really stung was the personal element. Harry reportedly hoped for a flicker of recognition, a nod, a glance, something from an old acquaintance in uniform. But nothing. The military doesn't bend to emotion, it bends to orders. And those orders were clear. Treat him like he's no longer one of us. And that's the raw, cruel truth here. This wasn't about feelings. It wasn't about whether individual soldiers like Harry or not. It was the institution speaking through silence. A silence that cuts sharper than any public statement ever could. Now, let's pause. If you're still with me, I want to hear your take. Drop a comment right now. Was the military right to hold the line, or should Harry have been shown at least a little respect for his service? I'll be reading through your thoughts because this moment, this cold shoulder, is one of the most divisive in royal history. But here's where it gets worse. This wasn't just about the soldiers. The palace itself played its hand with equal precision. No official statement welcoming him back. No photos of his meeting with King Charles. No friendly nods from staff. The reported meeting with his father? Just tea. Barely an hour. No cameras. No warmth. And when it ended, no press release. Just silence. One insider described it best. It wasn't family, it was business. Transactional, cold, managed. Harry wasn't embraced as a son. He was handled as a problem. That's the quiet cruelty of royal protocol. They don't need to scream. They don't need to publicly shame. They simply withdraw recognition, and suddenly you realise you're out. For Harry, that's a deeper cut than any headline. Because remember, he didn't just walk away from family. He walked away from an institution that defined his identity. And now, that same institution has made it crystal clear. If you leave, you don't get to straddle the line. You're either in or you're out. Now let's talk public reaction. British media tore into the moment. Commentators picked apart Harry's every move. Was his stiff posture nerves or shame? Did Meghan's absence make him weaker or smarter? The debate rages on. Meanwhile, Americans viewed it differently. Some saw Harry as the rebel prince, speaking truth to power, standing up against archaic traditions. But across the Atlantic, many in the UK saw a different picture. Not a rebel, a deserter. And let's not ignore the military pride factor. For soldiers still serving, watching a man who once wore the same uniform now criticise the monarchy on Netflix didn't sit right. It didn't feel like bravery. It felt like betrayal, a brother who cashed in on the bond they swore to protect. By the time Harry's trip ended, the message was unmissable. No salute when he arrived, no farewell when he left, just silence. And in the monarchy, silence is never accidental. It's a blade, wielded with precision. Now, I want you to imagine being in Harry's shoes for a moment, walking through halls where every guard once respected you, every staff member once bowed, every camera once adored you. And now, all of that evaporates. You're not hated, you're not cursed, you're ignored. And in a world built on recognition and symbolism, that is the harshest rejection possible. The big question now is, can Harry ever come back? Can he rebuild those bridges, or has he crossed a point of no return? Based on this visit, the palace seems to have already answered. The crown doesn't chase, it doesn't beg, and it definitely doesn't compromise. If Harry wants back in, he'll need more than apologies. He'll need complete surrender. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this quiet, calculated moment is one of the most brutal in modern royal history. Because it wasn't just about one prince and one visit. It was about what happens when you step out of tradition and try to straddle two worlds, celebrity and monarchy. In the end, neither side fully claims you. Before I wrap, I want to know, where do you stand? Is Harry the tragic figure caught between outdated traditions and modern freedom? Or is he the architect of his own downfall, now paying the price for choices he made? Comment below, hit like if you made it this far, and subscribe because we're only scratching the surface of what's coming in this royal saga. Because trust me, this story isn't over.